Yeah, so well. I don't know what you said.
You had me going earlier. I was like, what? I'm just kidding. I would have taken up the time.
Okay, we're streaming on YouTube. So Ryan, if you can kick us off and start the meeting.
You had me going earlier. I was like, what?
Thanks everyone for being here. I'll call this meeting to order at 9:07 a.m. Welcome. We have a pretty good turnout, and thank you all for being here. We'll first start with public comment. If everyone could please mute their thanks everyone for being here. I'll call this meeting to order at 9:07 a.m. by delay. Welcome. We have a pretty good turnout, and thank you all for being here. We'll first start with public comment. If everyone, all right, can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. Thanks everybody. Okay, if we can start with Tressa, because I know Teresa, I know you mentioned you have to leave at 10, and if you had a OCTA update, we'd appreciate it.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So yes, we do have an update. The contractor is beginning to think about when they're going to come back into 4th Street. And so OCTA had a field walk with the contractor. Julie was there, as well as Mike Ortiz from the city of Santa Ana, other members of the construction management team. So we've gone through, kind of done an initial field walk so that we could identify kind of outstanding issues. We want to make sure we have clarity, and anything that we need to get answers to, we have that before the contractor begins. So for example, one of the items that we identified were the stanchions or the columns that the police department has out in the sidewalk. So I think there's a meeting later today to kind of sort out and refresh everyone's memory about what happens to those during construction. Do they stay? Do they go? If they stay, how do they get protected in place? If they go, do they come back in the same location? So there were a number of things like that that we identified. What we can tell you is that the work is planned to start at Ross. And just to remind everyone, this segment 4 runs from Ross Street all up to Mortimer. And so the contractor has indicated they will start at Ross and then move easterly. They'll start in those first 2 blocks, so between Ross and Broadway. We identified some areas where how they'll separate the work from pedestrians. They're going to use crowd fencing for that. So those are just kind of the preliminary steps that we're taking. But as soon as we run through the open items, if there's any information we need from this group, we'll be sure to communicate back to you. And then the only other thing that I was kind of looking at your financial report, OCTA is looking at the agreement that we have. And, the agreement calls for the associations to be able to invoice us in April. I know you have a healthy balance on your OCTA funds so far. If you need to access those funds in April, the funds are available to you. However, if you don't need them in April, it probably is better to not ask for them too soon before you actually need them. The other thing we're looking at is if it would benefit the group for us to extend the agreement beyond April of 2022, so that the funds don't need to be spent by that date. We could extend it another year without any problem. If you expend the funds sooner, that's fine, but we don't want you to feel pressured into spending them. We don't want it to create a use it or lose it type of environment for you. We want to give you the opportunity to be as thoughtful and intentional, and make sure you're getting the best value for the monies that are available. So that's basically what I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then just any update or timing wise?
It could be as well. Walsh is a very challenging contractor to deal with. They won't give me or give us any kind of when they could start. I would say the earliest they could go would be maybe 5 or 6 weeks. So it could be coming as quickly as that. At some point last November or October. They told me they were coming in January. So again, a lot of things happen. We are trying to do a good job of lessons learned on other segments where we've run into problems. We also stating that we'll probably have some same issues that we had in other segments come up here in segment 4, but we want to make sure that we have our mitigation strategies in place so that when we do get to them, if we find, for example, railroad ties under Forest Street, what do we do? They have to be removed in a specific way because they're there's there's hazardous soil, there's contaminated soil. All of these things have different levels of removals that have to go to certain places in order to be disposed of. So those are the kinds of things that we want to make sure that we're ready to go and we don't just kind of have to figure it out on the fly.
Sure. And then just overall timing update, can you provide that to the group as well?
Sure. So right now the project, I think most of our public facing documents say spring of 2022. It's looking more and more like we are, based on a bunch of delays that we've had, going to be more like October of 2022. However, I just want to qualify that by saying that the FTA, which is our federal partner on the project, they're doing their own risk analysis, as well as OCTA has a continuing risk analysis process in place. And so we're looking at both budget and schedule. We have one opportunity to make an adjustment with our federal funding agreement. And so we want to make sure that that one, bite at the apple, so to speak, with the feds is as accurate as we can predict. So there are still opportunities for the contractor to make up time, but the longer we go, the less impactful that time, making up the time becomes. So right now, I think, we'll be going to our board. The next public date that you see will be October of 2022. However, based on a lot of kind of factors that are happening, it's possible that that date would get pushed as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Does anyone else have any questions regarding OCTA, streetcar? Okay. Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Wait, I do have a quick question. There's been a lot of complaints regarding the temporary paving and stuff like that. Do you know how that's been rectified, or if it will be?
So I don't think there'll be any changes to the pavement until the project comes in and does the repair work. It won't even be repair work. When they're done, the entire width of 4th Street gets new paving and will be restriped at the end. We also have to put the station platforms in. Those go in at Sycamore and at French. So when they come in and do the track slab, they do put new concrete, new asphalt when they do the track installation. So it'll start once they get the track installed.
Yeah, I realize that, but there's been a lot of complaints going all the way up to city council, and it's annoying because I know it's only temporary, but
Right.
how people could be. So thank you.
And the city just sent us a letter, with their, with a list of things that they are concerned about. OCTA has just officially responded. So there's a number of issues. I think you might notice on Mortimer, they just started doing some work. The alternative there was to them opening up the big trench like they have done in other segments, was to do it's not really called this, but I like to call it the mini trench. So what they did there was they just took a foot wide segment, went down, identified where conflicts are, and now they can come back in and address them, which is a lot less impactful than opening up that 10-foot wide trench and 3 foot deep that people have been dealing with in segment 2.
Great. Thank you. All right. Any other public comment? Or I guess any other quick questions for Teresa? Or then if not, anyone have any other public comment before we move on?
Real quick, if no one has any questions for Teresa, we typically take public comment on our YouTube channel, but there seems to be a technical issue on the channel with the chat box. So if people have public comments that are watching, please email them to info@downtown-inc.com. That's info@downtown-inc.com, and then we'll read them as we get them into the record.
Great, thanks, Ryan. Okay, with that, if we can move on to our minutes from last meeting. If you look at the bottom of the agenda, they are on there. If anyone has any questions, if not, can I get a motion to approve them, please?
I'll make a motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I can't see everybody, so I don't know if you can, Ryan, but here, let's do this. Okay. I think we're good unless anyone else has anything to say. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Clean and safe report. First off, I want to introduce Officer Castellanos. He'll be taking over for Officer Raul Valdez. Officer Valdez is going to be, I believe it's public knowledge, he's going to be retiring, I think, in the next few months. So we really appreciate his dedication and service. And I've only heard great things about Officer Castellanos, and Officer Valdez made sure that we were left in good hands with a great officer to take the lead. So with that, Officer Castellanos, I can't see you, but can you hear us? And do you want to say a few words?
Yes. Good morning to everybody. I will be taking over Officer Prieto's place. Now Valdez will be probably replaced with another corporal. And the only thing we have for the PD side is that the courtyard is being closed since the last week. So that should minimize some of the transient problems that we're having. Obviously, we're still going to continue to have that for some time, but it should slow down a little bit and things should be looking a lot better.
Excellent. That's great news. And I know we've all been advocating for that, and to finally see that happen, I think will have a huge impact on the downtown. So thank you for that. Is there anything else you want to add or anything else to share with the group?
No, just happy to be here in downtown working with everybody, and looking forward to meeting most of you guys, if not everybody. Soon.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again. If there's anything we can do to help or be supportive, please let us know.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Jose Romo, do you want to update Clean and Safe report, please?
Yes. And the news about courtyard closing, it's great for downtown. However, we still have a large number of homeless people in the area, because basically the folks who were inside the courtyard and now are being transferred to another location are the folks who are okay receiving assistance, treatment, and following the rules of the homeless shelter. And unfortunately, we still have on the streets a number of individuals who refuse to get health service assistance in any way, or they are used to taking drugs and creating vandalism. So hopefully things will change in the near future. Right now, things haven't changed for downtown. We have the same issues, the same individuals, the same problems. But hopefully things will change with now the courtyard being relocated, or the individuals that were housed in the courtyard being relocated somewhere else. So that's great news. As you are aware, I'm going to combine the Clean and Safe report and the financial report, if you don't mind. We had two items going to the City Council last year. Our Clean and Safe program, unfortunately, needs to be approved every year. And same thing with the merchant fund agreement. The merchant fund agreement was not brought up to council because there is no money being generated from parking revenue. And also there was no money for the Clean and Safe program. The Clean and Safe program received $500,000 for the last 3 years. Prior to that, we received $400,000 for about 8 or 9 years. Even though the service and the area increased, the money was increased only once. However, Julie Castro and Mark Morley found money because we are being funded. We're not being funded by the parking revenue this year, and it is the first time in as many years as I've been in downtown Santa Ana. Every single year in the past, the Clean and Safe program was funded through revenue from the parking, revenue from the structures and the meters. This time, Julie Castro and Mark Molly found a way to get us money. Basically, a city-owned property was sold, the YMCA building. And Julie, please correct me if I'm wrong. That building was sold for, and the proceeds of the sale were, I believe, in the vicinity of $500,000. And of course, there are some costs associated with the sale of the property, and that's how we got the 400 grand. So we have the clean team out there, thanks to that situation, because there was a lot of discussion about just eliminating the program. So I mean, hopefully things will change for next year, but that's how we're getting funded this year. However, the security guard portion of the program was not approved. That was basically cut from the program. Again, we went from 500 grand to 400 grand. We spent 100 grand in security guards for the last couple of years. A lot of you and a lot of members of the community wrote letters to the city council. Unfortunately, I believe it was not the right council meeting to bring this item. But again, it was a very, very long meeting. There was another very controversial issue on the agenda, and so the council perhaps didn't really pay attention to our letters, or they just decided to do this year, and hopefully things will change for next year. So the funds for the security guards were not approved. Now, however, probably you have seen the security guards still on the street. What happened is that we have some leftover money for the last few years in our Clean and Safe budget. And we had to reduce the security guards to less than half of the time. We only have them 8 hours each day of the week. And basically, we don't have any security guards at nighttime. And the money that we have left over from previous years will only last for 4, maybe 5 months. So unfortunately, June, July, we will not have any security guards anymore. However, after the city council meeting, I had a meeting with Mayor Sarmiento when he was doing his toy drive at the 3rd and Bush lot. And he said that if we are willing to make some changes to the parking fee structure, and of course, if things get better, of course, then he is willing to bring the item back to the city council to reconsider funding the security guard program. Of course, we're meeting with Julie Castro next week to go over the parking revenue to find, so we can find out how we're doing so far. But that's an option that hopefully, there will be money, and hopefully the security guards can stay in downtown. But as of right now, mid-May, we'll have to eliminate completely the security guards. So that's what's going on. Also, like I said, the merchant fund program was not even brought to council because, again, there is no money from the parking revenue. So basically, our budget has been cut in half compared to the last 2-3 years. So we only have the bid fund money, and the bid fund is funded through the business license renewals. In the past, we have received about 100 grand, and this year we're projecting about $70,000 only. I mean, if we get 100 grand, that'll be great. We're budgeting for 70 grand. So you can imagine that our budget and our activities are going to be cut. However, we still have, of course, the funds from OCTA, but that's completely different expenses, completely different activities. But that's what we have. So far, we have been very conservative, as you can only imagine. I mean, going from 200 grand to 70 grand, it's significant cut. We're being very conservative in everything that we do, everything that we spend, and so that's where we are. I mean, hopefully things will improve in the next few months. I believe they will. But who knows? Who knows if we're going to get more money to fund the security guard program? And number two, I don't know if we'll ever get money again to fund the merchants fund program. If anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Yeah. Jose, I have a question.
Yeah.
On the, how many security guards do we have?
Right now, we only have one security guard, 8 hours every day of the week.
Is there any way that you can like split a shift, like
We're-
some hours
I mean-
when during the day and then some hours in the evening?
Yes,
Or like get two part-timers or something? I mean, just because in the evening, it seems like to me is when we would really need the security guards.
absolutely. We can definitely make changes to the schedule. And right now, we after a meeting with Robert Valdez, he recommended that schedule so that it could fit the police officer's schedule. Right now, we have a security guard in the morning, and the police officers come late afternoon, evening. But yes, we can definitely make changes as needed.
I think, sorry.
I just wanted to add that there's been a couple of incidents that have happened in the evenings that kind of is in agreement with what Tish is saying. I mean, we know that a drunk driver hit some folks the other night over by the amusement park building, and she died. It was a gal named Patty. We also know that there was a fight that broke out, and somebody like's leg got crushed. I mean, because there is, like Yvonne had mentioned, the restaurants are open at night, and there's been a little bit of like an uptick in some of the encounters that require eyes on the street from.
Yes. I don't know if everybody is seeing my messages in the group chat, but yes, now that the restaurants are pushed out to the outside, so are their customers. We really need additional police presence on the streets because they're coming out in full force to not just like come out, but to really come and party. And we need additional staff. We can't just have 2 police officers. It's just not enough.
Can I say something, everybody? Just to be very clear here, we're broke. The city's broke. I mean, I appreciate we want more police and we want more security. We want all those things. Right now is not going to happen. I mean, just to be frank, we're, as I think Jose alluded to, and Julie's been working her ass off to get us to find this money. I mean, we're having a tough time with anything right now, frankly. The parking revenue has been decimated. The city's obviously having a lot of financial challenges. Frankly, we're not, honestly not a priority, but they're trying to survive right now and pay their bills and cover their costs and pay their debt. So,
but that's the whole point that we're here as Downtown Inc.
Sure.
So that the city can know about the concerns and we can move forward with it.
Look, absolutely. I think the point is to advocate for what we need. And like Jose's mentioned, we're trying to get additional funding to do these things. As Jose mentioned, I think, assuming that things pick up towards the end of the year or middle of the year, that we should be able to get some additional funding. But right now, I mean, it's bleak. And just to add to kind of the situation, to further add, one of the other things that we have to look at, and we're actually don't have really a choice, is on the parking validation system. Right now we have 2 hours. The city wants to go to 0 hours. We've advocated and pushed for 1 hour. And I'll be honest, like even at 1 hour, we're hugely negative and the city's basically losing money to even support that. So I don't know if Julie, if you want to add to kind of the specific numbers we're talking about here, or if you can do it in your city report. But again, right now is a very challenging time to say the least. And I'm one of the people that pushed and advocated for 2 hour parking and fell on the sword over it. But right now we don't have a choice. I mean, our hands are tied. And I mean, again, we're just, our options are very limited right now under the circumstances. I mean, again, I hope that things improve and we can get more funding, but right now we're struggling to, when I say we, I guess more the city is struggling to cover those costs or give us more funding. So Julie, I don't know if you want to expand upon kind of the realities on the ground of what we're talking about here, but I think everyone should understand kind of how bad it really is. I hate to say it like that.
Yes. The pandemic really had a huge impact financially on everybody. And parking revenue is starting to pick back up. Hopefully, once we get into the red tier, we can start allowing a little more activity in the downtown. But it seems like people are coming into the downtown and eating and shopping and so on. There is discussion internally about redirecting some of staffing costs to general fund to kind of alleviate that negative balance. Let's see. And there's also discussion about moving the grace period from 2 hours to 1 hour. Which is, right in between. This is what we want to do. We don't want to just not consider the community. We want to consider the community. We want people to come to downtown. But but there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that I've been doing to decrease overhead costs and identify how to generate additional revenue. So moving along, and we can only go up from here.
And I think to add to that point, Julie's been great about trying to figure out creative ways to keep the ball rolling, if you will. And again, hopefully this is just a short blimp on the radar of kind of this situation. But again, the reality is the reality, and frankly, the city's, I think, been pretty good working with us in the sense of we're negative right now. We're actually losing money, and they're still allowing us to fund certain programs. So again, it's a delicate balance, and there's no question that we need more money and we need more funds, and hopefully that'll change quickly. But the realities on the ground are what they are. So Yvonne, I completely agree with you that we need more security, we need more policing. There's a lot of things that need to be done, but right now our hands are somewhat tied. So if we can optimize the current security we have now, or if we can talk to the police about, look, there's these problem areas we have to address or whatever, obviously open to any all ideas. But in terms of adding additional, resources right now, I think is not realistic unless someone has any crazy ideas. We have been able to get a little grant money here and there, but again, nominal in the scheme of things, but does help at least.
Ryan?
Go ahead.
Right. I have a question. What time is the police on force though? So at least we know what time we can contact them.
I would defer to Jose if he has the clarity on that.
Okay, cool.
Well, you want the schedule of the police officers?
No, just because I think during the day it works out as well because of the fact that that's when we have the homeless issue out here. Just people sleeping outside, stuff like that. But what's your schedule?
I'd like to chime in on that. So for the specific schedule, I'll go to Officer Joe Castellanos, but I know that once we get to that point where security is not going to be provided because of funding shortage, there is conversation between CDA, our department, and the police department to see how we can offset or how we can cover. That would also include my time in doing the morning route check, the meter technicians. We have 4 meter technicians that could do route checks, to reporting, contact PD. And so I'll make sure to bring that full circle with Corporal Valdez so that we can have a plan A and a plan B once security, is not available through the downtown. But Officer Joe Castellanos, if we can defer to you on schedules for PD.
Yes, can you hear me, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Look, we're going to be, we're there 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Okay, on a Wednesday, we do overlap a little bit. And then the overtime detail comes in at Thursday through Saturday from 9 to 3 in the morning. And there's 2 officers at the night shift from, well, at all times, there's 2 officers available from 10 to 8:30, and then from 9 to 3 in the morning, it's an additional 2 officers.
Thank you.
So, Officer Castellanos, the other day, the director of OCA could not enter his building for 3 hours. He called the police, I called the police, I called all of the police officers directly, and nobody came for 3.5 hours. He finally left it at 3 hours. Businesses should be able to enter their business without having a homeless person set up with a tent at their front door. How do we circumvent this problem from happening again?
I agree. Most of you guys will have Corporal Valdez or some of our numbers. I mean, there's always going to be somebody here during those times, and PD should be sending the calls over to the downtown detail to address those issues. When we come in at 10 in the morning, we do trying to hit every business in the area that we can to make sure there is nobody sleeping in there. And even the night shift also tries to make sure that there's nobody setting up camps. However, as you know, on the night shift, they get busy with the bars and restaurants, which they might not be able to clear everybody out. But that's one of the priorities. I don't know about that specific incident or what happened or who was here or was not here. You can send me the information. I'll be more than happy to look into it and see what happened that day.
Yeah, and I'd like to chime in too, because I had a similar situation with the residences where I live downtown. Only the span of time was 10 hours for that.
You had to wait 10 hours for a police officer?
No, well, okay. So after 10 hours, the person got up and walked off on their own after I called the police. Several of my neighbors called the police, and the police did come, but they never came down my side of the sidewalk. Instead, they drove their vehicle up the sidewalk on the other side of Bush Street.
Okay. There's sometimes with it could be a disconnect between dispatch and the officers. If you guys see that where the officers are on the wrong side, or they just, like I said, they're in the patrol cars and you know, they're not getting out of the car to actually walk inside the buildings or between the buildings, you're more than welcome. You should contact a PD and say you see the officer that, you know, is on scene. However, you know, he's in the wrong side. You know, give him some additional information so you can guide him into the location, you know, to make sure that they handle the issue.
Yeah, and on a similar note, with the downtown security guard at night, I pass the security guard, or at least who I think the security guard is, almost every night in the same location at the same time. And I'm not sure he is actually roaming the downtown as much as he's standing in front of Bird and Barrel.
We don't have a security guard at nighttime anymore. That security guard is hired by a private business owner.
Oh, okay.
To watch a few buildings that they own.
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Our security guard leaves at 5 o'clock. Also, the Santora building hires a security guard some nights. And there is one basically at Spurgeon and 4th, but that's privately hired. It's not by Downtown Inc.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions regarding, I guess, any of that stuff? I know it's a lot of, it's kind of complicated and a lot of moving parts here. And again, we're working to try to obviously optimize and get it better. But if anyone has any input or you see anything with security not doing what they're doing, or again, issues like we're having now, please make us aware of it so we can try to address it and improve it. With that, Julie, city report?
Well, actually, can I continue on that, the thread of this conversation? So, all right, we combined 2 items there, clean and safe and finance. So I'm just gonna close out those items and then we can go to Julie. Just to iterate, you know, what did Downtown Inc do amongst this occurring? You know, we did find out about this really in December, that the merchant fund wasn't going to come to the council meeting, and that the clean and safe program wasn't going to be funded by parking but by the YMCA building. And we generated a letter with what we thought were some really important points, that clean and safe picked up twice as much garbage in 2020 than it did in 2019. There were twice as many service calls in 2020 for security than there was in 2019. We lost one of our 99 historic buildings in 2020 due to vandalism, and vandalism costs rose to the city by 3 times in 2020. And also that's reflected by all the private property owners. We heard anecdotal evidence like from John Goddard that it was the most vandalism that their building experienced in the whole 20 years that they've been downtown. So the minimal investment in security we saw as really offsetting all of these really, really bad rising tides against downtown. And so over 50 letters were sent into City Hall for this meeting. We appeared at the meeting, though the meetings are on Zoom and you call in, and I don't know how effective they can hear you or can listen. And as Jose said, it was also a very tumultuous meeting with a lot of different stuff going on. And unlike usually when we get renewed at the end of each year, we're with the city council that knows us. And this, we got pushed into the next meeting. And so it was a brand new city council, less familiar with the ongoing stuff going on downtown. And also, just so you know, for downtown Long Beach, for example, they renew every 10 years, or many bids renew every 5 years. We renew every year. So it's a very strenuous evaluation and approval of our funding. And so like we saw here, we had almost zero notice that we weren't getting this funding going into next year. After the council meeting, Madeline Spencer from Santa Ana Business Council has been setting up one-on-ones and small meetings with each of these council people so that we can meet the new people, so that we could go through with the mayor the entire last 8 years of history around parking revenue, every dip, dive, bump, policy change that we've had, so that we made sure that they're really on the same page. And what they really told us was, there, as Ryan said, there's no money. We're not going to get additional funds outside of our own self-generated revenues to bail us out or cover us through this time. We were very lucky to get the funds that did get allocated from the sale, and that is a blessing. And to that we're going to be riding this wave, and hopefully increases in parking revenue through the different measures proposed, and the increases in the economy reopening up. And also our business improvement district businesses staying afloat and filling vacancies that we'll get back to our baseline at some point. But I just want to cover all that, because that's what's been kind of occurring in the background. Also, I sent out regarding a lot of what I think was said, but here it is kind of more articulated with sorry, I want to do this. Okay. So because of the adjustments to revenue, we submitted budgets to the city to be approved in December. So we've been asked to resubmit new budgets. So we've gone back to the table. We've condensed things and submitted our new city budget, reduced city budget. And oh, I'm supposed to open it. Sorry about that. Okay, so here is this document. And this was all sent to you guys, but it basically summarizes what Jose was saying, which is that our typical revenues that pass through the city to us are the $100,000 business license fee, the $100,000 merchant fund, which is our share of the parking revenue, and then the clean and safe contract, which is at $500,000, and that's $700,000. This year, what's likely is business license fee share is $70,000, so a reduction of $30,000. Merchant fund is $0, which is a reduction of $100,000. And then clean and safe has been reduced 25% from $500,000 to $400,000. So those revenues went from $700,000 down to $470,000, or roughly a 33% reduction. However, we're pulling every couch cushion and looking at all revenue sources for our organizational budget. And so we did receive round one Cal relief grant of $15,000 that helps cover payroll. We're currently waiting to hear if we'll get round two. So unsure of that second amount there. We also have some leftover funds because as we entered the pandemic, we had to cancel everything that was going on in spring. Then we were, waiting and learning and seeing what was happening, and we adapted a lot of our budgets, but we also received a lot of new revenue last year in the form of the OCTA marketing funds. So we were able to pivot, adjust, and be really flexible and nimble. And the idea was to try and save funds till later when they could be used more effectively. So there are different revenue sources here, about $215,000. And so for this year, this is more of a total budget of our organization, because the budget we submit to the city is only for revenues associated with the city money. So this would be our more top line budget, which shows all the different revenue sources that we have. We've kept really our bare bone expenses that we can keep on, and then we're still continuing to do much more extensive marketing, communications, programming, outdoor patio activations, and other partnerships with Santa Ana Business Council, capital improvements to the marketing of downtown like banners. We still have plenty of funding to operate in this flexible mode and continue to do great big projects and programs. So this year we feel very confident. We've sat down and worked out all the details that we can continue to exist with a strong year. And we need this year, hopefully to improve with the different, the previous or the primary base revenue sources that we utilize. This is the budget that was revised and submitted to the city. So in October, you guys approved two budgets for $100,000, our bid budget and our merchant budget. The merchant budget is no longer relevant right now for this year, And this is a modified version of the bid budget. So these are what our city revenue expenses would go towards. And that's a budget picture for us. And if there's I mean, there might be questions, but then if not, we want asking you guys to then vote on that.
And to clarify, Ryan, we're approving the city budget, correct? The $70,000 city budget, just to be clear, everyone's on the same page?
You would adopt both, this whole picture and the city budget, you know.
Okay, but I'm saying there's the overall budget and then the specific city budget, correct?
Yes.
All right, does anyone have any questions on the budgeting? If not, can we have a motion to approve the budget?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you, Ryan and Jose. They I know had a lot of effort to put this together and get creative. And again, Ryan, you know, worked for that grant money and everything else. So I appreciate you guys' efforts on putting that together and coming up with that. I know it's not been easy to try to, you know, put it all together under the circumstances, but thank you for your efforts on that. With that, Julie, city report.
Thank you for the time. I'll keep mine brief. Just wanted to let you guys know that the parklets are completely done. We have seen a little bit of vandalism, like the hand sanitizing stations get removed or the bistro lights, you know, get vandalized, but we did order back stock of that. So we'll be able to replace it. We are continuing to add bistro lights within the alleys. They're going to be 15 to 16 feet up in the alleys to provide a little more illumination. I just want to remind everybody that we're still in the purple tier and that indoor dining is not allowed at this time, but it looks like we're moving in the right direction as a county, and hopefully indoor dining will be allowed at some level soon. But there are several complaints that have been given to Santa Ana PD and to code enforcement and to others. So we just want to remind all of our restaurants and coffee shops to really limit indoor dining. Let me see here. Let's see here. I wanted to also share with you that I've been working with the bridal, quinceañera, and photography businesses lately, and they are currently participating in a Webify training program through the Small Business Development Center. That's where I'm at right now. And they're learning how to have an online presence and have e-commerce and so on. There's this other organization called SCORE that is interested in working with other businesses in downtown, such as beauty salons or other professional businesses that where they can get different business resources. So I'll be working on that next. Let's see here. On the City Hall functions, the budget season for City Hall is now. So the previous council meeting, that was the very first step in reviewing the current budget, and City Council discussed a lot of different budget items with regard to the city matters. And one of those items was discussion on parking revenue. I'd like to encourage you guys as a board to submit comments or emails to City Council before the next City Council meeting so that you can continue to stay on their mind. I know that I've been working with Mark and Stephen, and we have a checklist going to make sure that, you know, Merchant Fund, Clean and Safe, and other sponsorships can still be sustained for the downtown. Two more things, business licenses. Surprisingly, we are getting some business license fees collected from businesses from downtown. And I say surprisingly in a way because it's been hard. Money is tight, but the businesses are renewing their business license. I want to make sure that you guys know and that you guys share that our business license division is providing payment plans. Let me see here, what else do I have? Oh, there's a potential to get another round of funding for outdoor dining. This is all tentative, but the County of Orange is speaking to City Hall to talk about what other outdoor dining and how can we help other restaurants and businesses. And one of the corridors that they've identified is First Street. So some of our neighbors on First Street that are close by downtown should be getting some assistance. And that's it for me, unless there's questions.
Julie, I have a question. When the whole pandemic started, you were doing these weekly meetings with a lot of the businesses and the restaurants, and have you considered maybe starting that up just to give them updates and let them know?
Sure. I
Especially,
haven't considered it because people have been getting busier and busier, and the resources aren't as abundant anymore. You know, they're here and then they're gone in a week. But certainly, if you think that that's a value, I can consider that
well,
again.
I think mainly because because I enjoying my last few days of still walking downtown, and I see some people still going in. They're actually inside the restaurants, and I know that that was addressed, but just to kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I won't be attending them, but I got a lot out of it when you were doing it, and just, maybe just do just one just to help clear up the air or something, just a suggestion.
I agree with you, Tish. It provided a sense of community, an opportunity for people to just vent if they needed to, or ask questions or get clarification. Yeah, I think I'll consider doing that again, maybe Tuesdays at 2 or at 3 or 4, something like that. Sure.
Julie, I just want to say good job on the parklets. It's I think it's probably a very thankless job in a way, because where do they go, who gets them, who doesn't, how big are they, but I think that they're a great addition to downtown, and I think they're going to serve us after the pandemic well.
Yes, they're made to last for 5 to 7 years, so they'll be here quite a while. Thank you for the compliment.
I wanted just to piggyback that comment too. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Julie and her efforts and her advocacy for downtown. I mean, the parklet, she got $750,000 to make this happen. And if you all drive downtown today, I mean, that impact is there, it's tangible. And as Julie said, hopefully we'll be there for a long time. So really appreciate you doing that, Julie, and just also just going to bat for us. I know that can be a delicate dynamic with the city, and you're obviously employed by them, but you're also challenging them and asking questions and hard questions. And I think for a long time it's been a delicate dynamic, and I think you're pushing the envelope in a positive way. So again, we really appreciate your efforts on that, and thank you. So great work. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Doesn't go unnoticed. Anything else from your perspective from the city, Julie?
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Smoller, consultant report.
Hi, everybody. All right, well, just going to touch base on a couple of things today. First of all, we have a very special board member who's been with us at least 7-8 years, who's leaving downtown after a lifetime of supporting this community. And so, Tish Leone, who has been so active, she's served on multiple city commissions, on the county commission for seniors, Downtown Resident Association president, putting on events like the Older Adults Fair, in the Talent Fair in the Birch Park. And we just really appreciate, and the Frida Cinema board and all the other things that you've done. We really appreciate all of your support for downtown and the leadership that you've exhibited in the city. And we have a small token for you that I think Jose has here. Jose, you got to turn your screen off, Jose. Your background.
Guys are gonna make me cry.
Okay, how do I show it?
Well,
no, turn your video on, but turn
your background off.
Your background.
Yeah, because it was disappearing.
Oh, got it. Sorry. Okay, so how do I turn off my background?
You have to turn on your screen first. We can't see you anymore. There you go.
And then click.
Now go to the stop video part of it. Oh, wow.
The little arrow next to stop video, it says choose virtual background. And then
Tish.
filter, and then hit none. So next to stop video, there should be a little arrow.
No, there isn't.
Oh, there's not?
No.
Okay, well, maybe stand up and then you can show it on your, and then it will show.
Huh.
Can you put it in the screen?
Yeah. Let's try some different angles. Oh, there you go. There you go.
There you go. Hold it closer. Ryan, why don't you explain what it is?
Okay, so this is the first ever key to downtown. And
Oh,
so we want to make sure that you always can come back and find your way and get into the places that you love to see in our city.
And
that is beautiful. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
Thank
just
you.
to add to Ryan's comments, Tish, we really appreciate, your efforts and involvement over the years. And I think, to have someone that is living in the community, that's vested in the community, and I think obviously sometimes has a difference of opinion, I think was a healthy dialogue. I think really brought, a lot of positive input and really it was good to have your perspective for these years. And again, really appreciate it. And, we know you're leaving, but we know you're also still very connected here. So if you hear anything, please keep us in mind and let us know what's going on so we can try to obviously continue to work and improve things. But again, thank you so much. And we wish you so well in San Diego. And, at least you're not going to North Dakota or somewhere crazy. At least you're staying local
God,
and, not to go with everything else. So again, just thank you so much for your efforts over the years. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. That's really sweet. Thank you so much. Actually, I found a place down there. I'm going to be living very close to Lake Jennings in Lakeside. It's in San Diego County. And so I'm really looking forward to starting over in this new chapter of my life. And so thank you guys. That's really an honor. Thank you. And I've really enjoyed being part of this. I've lost some friends because I've been on Downtown Inc. But they're lost, right? My game. So thank you again.
We appreciate you, Tish. Thank you so much.
Oh, that is very nice. Thank you.
All right, Ryan, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just also want to introduce, this is Tish's neighbor, Denise is here, and she's going to be helping Joaquin at Elite with the Downtown Neighborhood Association. So we'll be a new partner of ours. And just if you want to say hi, Denise.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for inviting me here. Like Ryan said, I live in the same building as Tish. I've lived in downtown my whole life, and I'm pretty involved in the community and the schools in the area. So I'm excited.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Mr. Small, anything else?
Yes. So I'll just highlight a very quick few things, but we just turned in our quarterly OCTA marketing report for activities from October through December. And it's got a lot of cool stuff. And then also a lot of the stuff we've initiated since we had this fund has been completed, or we're working on right now completing with Santa Ana Business Council, or they've completed and we are a partner of their completed effort. So we're going to be seeking more partnership and additional ideas to move forward with how to utilize the OCTA funds. And that was great news earlier from Teresa that we have a little more time actually to use them through next year. Just to go through a couple of the things, we've been focused on outdoor patio activations. So partnering with the businesses that are open to create sort of liveliness around and near their patios. So one program that was really cool was free yoga in the morning with Elite Fitness. And we actually had custom downtown yoga mats printed up and given out to folks. Let's see, where are we? Well, we continue to produce our online content, which I encourage you guys to check out because it's really evolving and it's an ongoing program. So we continue to invest in it and want to make sure that it's valuable. This is Maria the Hot Tortillas show. Has been really incredible, covering food and culture. It's in English and Spanish. She's on her third videographer, and I think we really found an incredible match for her. The food shots, the storytelling, it's an in-depth experience. So she recently went to Flor de Oaxaca restaurant, which is on First Street and is an amazing Oaxacan restaurant that somehow was really flying under the radar. She went to the Butterfly House, which is upstairs in the, oh no, it's not the Butterfly House. She went to a singing studio that's up in the, or that is the Butterfly House, isn't it? It's a singing studio on the second floor. She's recently, just her most recent episode was with Perla's, and it was an incredible interview, and the food looked really delicious. As I said, we're working on helping the outdoor patios activate. We've helped do comedy, put together drag entertainment. We've done jazz and walking tours. So lots of social distance activity where people can enjoy the downtown, flow through it, move through it. We continue to invest in the parklets and signage to get people more into the downtown. And of course, we continue to work on the banner projects, which I'll talk a little bit more about. We did winter visits to all the businesses with our characters. And last time, you may remember, we had consultant Mike Cano, and he went out to all the businesses and did a check-in for us and checked to see if people were associated with programs and what they needed. And I think that's kind of helped jumpstart some of this activity around the bridals because of some disconnects that were there, that he went in and kind of talked to people with Marcella and with the whole team. We continue to do stuff at the farmers market, invest in the Tuesday farmers market, music at the market. There was a Saturday pop-up market that was invested in. So we continue to work out of that budget to create a lot of partnerships and content. And if there's businesses that are interested in doing something in a small group, or they have an idea, please contact us, and we'll be gathering people together again for more feedback and ideas as to where to go from here. Okay, so where am I now?
Hey, Ryan, I've got a question regarding the farmers market.
Yes.
It seems like a lot of the produce vendors, I mean, there's not that many. It seems like it's turning more into a craft type of thing. So is there any input that you can give to Joseph?
Sure, yeah. I think we definitely want it to be based on the sale of food and not the ancillary activities. So that sounds right on. We can do a check with him with the staff that's there each week, and they can talk to him. But I think it's really based on what in the conversations I've had with them, and Madeline, you can go ahead too, is it's really based on sales. So if the food produce vendors don't sell, they don't come, and he's got a wide network of vendors, and so he's bringing in other people to fill in the gaps who are more eager. So we have to we need attendance to rise, and maybe the market could be visited and figured out how to improve the market, because it's something that we really want to see succeed.
Of course, and I mean, I try and walk down there as often as I can get, and I've been hearing from people that live around the market, and they really miss the egg person. So that is something that's been missed. I personally like the other vendors. It's a nice, to me, I enjoy that as well. But you farmers market mainly is for produce and fruit, and I remember there used to be somebody there to sell meat and fish. It's just, and I understand that they need to make the money in order to come, but if they're there, people do miss them when they're not there. So thank you.
I just wanted to mention that Tish, unfortunately, he has very poor market development, and we've been working with him, and we worked with him for a while, but there's a lot of things that are needed in order to make that market work. And so it's unfortunate, and it is based on whether people are making money as to whether he can get vendors or not. So.
All right, so I wanted to deep dive into one of these projects, which is the banner phase 2 and 3. And so this was a project we funded out of OCTA funds in partnership with Santa Ana Business Council. and I project managed it. And Jean Jimenez was the incredible artist who did all this work and also really worked with the printer to get things done. The printer we've been using, Amgraph, is fantastic, and they do great work, and they save us money, and they work great with the city. And the city of Santa Ana was very amenable and helpful in this process of getting these banners up. The original intent for phase 2 and 3 was that Main Street was going to be covered in these historic banners, and that's completed and looks fantastic from First to Civic Center. And then the second part was to do the more funky evolution banners around the boundaries of downtown. So unfortunately, what happened is a lot of the poles on boundaries were not available. And so what we ended up doing was putting up the funky evolution on some of the poles around downtown, but we rerouted the rest of the funky evolution to be downtown banners and Calle Cuatro banners, front and back, and those run around along 3rd and 4th Street. And I think they actually look really incredible. So that project is completed. We're really excited about it. We love the signage projects and gotten a lot of good feedback on them, and excited about that. We're also gearing up to participate this April again in Place Make Earth Challenge. And this is a global challenge. We were part of, I think it was 27 cities in 14 countries. And we did several climate actions in downtown. This year, we'll be doing that again, but with the purpose of using nature to harnessing the power of nature as a co-designer of downtown. So we're very excited about that. And if anyone's interested in that, can jump on board with us. That'd be great. Boca de Oro, we're in the big throes of producing the downtown's biggest arts festival, literary festival, performance festival. It typically takes place with the March Art Walk and fills all of downtown. It was the biggest parking day revenue day of last year, so we'll never forget that, and one of the last events to occur in person downtown. And after the president report, Madeline's going to be giving a quick presentation on it because the SABC has a request. But that's pretty much all from me at this point. Ryan, did you have any more to add as the president's report?
To be honest with you, I don't really have much. I've kind of chimed in with stuff as has gone along today, and if I think of anything else, I'll add it. But right now, I don't have much. The only thing I guess I would say is obviously we have a new council, around, and if anyone knows the council members, obviously just to advocate for downtown and keep a dialogue and everything else. I think that's obviously important. But beyond that, not much to add at this time. But again, thank you all for being here. Let's go on to Madeline. Madeline, Boca de Oro.
So knowing that we were going virtual was a really difficult change, and a lot of our usual planning time, which starts around August, was taken up in like strategy sessions to try and figure this out. What we ended up doing is this is SABC and SAUSD who work together for the organizing of this, is that we came up with getting a CVent platform, which is a very seamless platform, and also working on building the regional draw through getting a very prominent keynote and closer. And then our local, we decided to go with building lending libraries for every single neighborhood throughout the city. So Denise is actually one of the recipients, is going to get a lending library coming up. So we have 64 neighborhoods that are signing on to have a lending library established. And tonight, for instance, we're going to be at Comlink to continue telling people, because we've got over half of our neighborhoods involved right now with this effort. So it's a really great tie-in. This effort in itself is a great tie-in because it really gets us out into the neighborhoods, and it puts like a face on downtown in their neighborhood by letting them know that everybody's a part of this, and we can all help distribute books throughout the community, etc., and they can decorate their boxes, and there's a tie-in there. So the regional, now we had Pete Souza, who is He was the photographer for President Obama and Reagan. And he actually, for instance, just dropped on his platform that he's going to be here to 2.8 million people. And we have and we also have been able to arrange for a beautiful keynote after speaker, which includes all of our regional, we have our mayor and everybody talking about the history, because our theme this year is history, vision, and dreams. So they're going to be talking about the future and the past and where they think things could go. We have a beautiful set of keynote speakers. So it's really interesting. It's very community building, because this brings tons of people from our whole district, families, children, all of our local universities, all of our local art centers, which is the Seagerstroms, the Bowers, the Arts OC, everybody is presenting, and they're all using this platform because nobody's been able to do an event essentially for the whole time of the pandemic. So now our platform has become that major platform to be able to express whatever it is that they want to share about what's going on at the Bowers, the Seagerstroms, and Arts OC, et cetera. So we have 109 sessions in this over a 3-day period, and we have 156 presenters in the event. So, and this event has gone from being something where the city gave 5,000, our board used 5,000, we got a couple thousand for busing from one of the council members, and 5,000 for like setting up stage, setting up for art, to an event that's now $100,000 event. And I've been in classes for fundraising because we now are working at a different scale. We have people from writers groups across Orange County. I knew that from the inception of this project, that if we did it right, it was going to become a central regional hub where people are really coming to Santa Ana for this experience. And we've now moved it to a 3-day platform, which is what we really wanted to do on the street. So next year it'll probably stay Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in downtown, which is great. And we have people from everywhere, from national to like regional and trans-regional, like Los Angeles, to local. So and all the universities included. So it's a great pipeline for our youth, et cetera. And I just want you guys to know that I know it's not on the ground, but this has been continually being built. It's a really important piece that I think will go on for years. As soon as we get this thing funded, which is like that $100,000 a year set in stone from funders, I think that this is going to be a really powerful building event for our city. So I just wanted to give you guys the updates. I did have an ask. I was hoping that we have a few extenuating costs. So I wanted help with our marketing cost, which is $5,000. And I was just asking if we could. I know we were waiting for your meeting to be able to make that ask, but.
Thank you, Madeline, for that. Real quick before I have a little comment, but Ryan, are we budgeted? Did we account for that already? Okay. All right. So just my personal opinion. First of all, Madeline, great job on this event and putting it together and building it over the years. I mean, it's gone from, like you said, a very small kind of community-oriented event to now it's just getting bigger and bigger and regional and national, and you're doing amazing work. So I think it's a great event. I think it's great for the community. It's great to tap into the local schools and the neighborhoods and everything else. And I think to Madeline's point, would it be ideal to be on the ground? Sure. But I think part of this is continuing this to get it to next year and in the years forward. And this becomes an annual signature event that is, again, like Ryan said, it was the busiest event we had last year in the downtown from a parking standpoint. So ultimately that does obviously benefits the downtown and benefits the community, and we also get the parking revenue. So it's kind of a win-win all around from my perspective. And again, I'm very supportive of it personally, but I want to see if anyone else has any feedback or comments before we vote.
Yeah. Madeline, awesome job. I've, been a big supporter of locals since the day one. There have been a lot of, and I know that you've seen it and you've heard it, a lot of people saying, where's all the local artists and this and that. And so percentage wise, how many local artists are on your list to speak and do presentations?
Since day one, Tish, the funniest part of that is we had over 2,500 local youth that perform in this, and it went up to 3,500 last year because we brought in the littles. We created all of Birch Park became for little
I remember
kids. So the thing is, beyond that, we've not only reached out, so as you know, we started a new program through this festival in the schools where all the schools compete now, and the finalists get to be in the festival. So we have schools from like 18 schools competing with their own original prose and poetry to be in the festival. We also have we found all of these like almost like bedroom authors within our city and like everywhere. So there's all these people coming out. People are publishing. We really wanted to, the part of the setup of this too was to connect we'd love it if every year 100 books are published out of this city. It's just like having like 100 Instagram posts if you're in Pi on X, where this is the city where these books are being published. This is the city. So, and we actually this year have to build out the financial part because we brought Scholastics in last year to do the book fair. And the year before we had a bunch of donations from like Newport Library and different libraries. And within was a half an hour, 300 books were sold right out there on 2nd Street Promenade. And those were just books that people had donated. So there's a whole arm of this that's the publishing arm, and the part that's going to be a money maker that brings revenue in for it, which we have not been able to tap yet because we couldn't set it up. And so all this infrastructure has to be built as we go. And that's all part of it. But there's tons. I mean, whoever has been saying that, it's total BS. There's way more community in this event than there is anyone else. I'll have to make you a list and give you the exact numbers. So
I don't personally, yeah. I know how many local people, just because of me being involved as a participant. So I know how much local people. So I would really suggest that you speak at the city council meeting to just re-emphasize, because you're getting a bad rap because of it, and it's not justified, because I know personally how many local people are involved, and kudos to you. I think was wonderful, and I'll make the motion to approve the $5,000. I totally think that what you're doing is just amazing. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So I make a motion to approve.
I have learned in this city the price of being misunderstood. It's okay. I'll be the black sheep. People love to make me that.
I will second that motion for the $5,000.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Our motion passes. Thank you. And thank you again for your efforts, Madeline. Next thing, Ryan, do you just want to touch on the board action?
Yes. So with Tish leaving and Omar at our last meeting from Fur Friends who had to resign because of the business closure, we have 2 open board seats. So I wanted to ask you guys to gear up and invite people who you think might want to participate to send me a message so I can prepare them for our next board meeting to try to get elected. As a reminder, we have a priority right now to balance the male-woman ratio, which is we're out of whack. And also we lost our retailer, which was Fur Friends. So those are some priorities that I think stand on for the board, but you need to approve this concept of for next time. And we also need to update our vice president or secretary and treasurers for our state filings as well. So we'll need to elect those officers.
Thank you. So anyone motion? Basically motioning to find board members. Is that kind of the gist of it? I mean, in a simple way?
Yeah, so in order to elect board members at the next meeting, you have to approve the process that I just outlined. That's all. It's a technical thing.
Does anyone have any questions about the process before we approve it? Okay, with that, does anyone make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it as we just discussed.
Any second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Our motion passed. So again, if you guys have any ideas of, people that you think would be a good fit, please let Ryan know. With that, does anyone else have any feedback, comments, anything else before we adjourn?
Well, just thank you, everybody. I really enjoyed being, a member of Downtown Inc. And I'm really looking forward to getting my key to downtown.
Well, again, Tish, we really appreciate your efforts, and thank you everyone for being on the call today. And Officer Castellanos, thank you for joining, and look forward to working with you. And again, everyone, thanks for your time. And hopefully our next call will be a little more positive with what's going on in the city and events and life and COVID and, everything else. But I think we're trending the right way, and let's hope for a positive, continuing of the year. So thank you everyone for your time again, and be well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.